What up, Wolfpac? It's your boy Tony. We back with another one. Taylor Swift is getting put into a songwriter Hall of Fame, and that's very expected. Taylor Allison Swift, Doctor Taylor Allison Swift. Taylor gonna Taylor, paint the picture. Taylor is my staple for her, and that all came from me knowing when I used to hear her before I became a listener of her. I used to be like, damn, I can like see that clear as day. I can see that clear as day, whatever she was talking about. And then as I started doing reactions and breakdowns of her lyrics and songs and things like that, it became a thing of like, yes, whenever Taylor pen is moving, she is painting a very vivid picture. You know, if it's a sad one or a happy one or a party, or she painting a time period or whatever she's doing, changing of seasons, the pen be moving. The pen be moving. I often bring up like one of her lyrics of like, "Our eyes whisper, have we met?" Like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. That type of thing. Or it's like it's hard to compete with that. So I am not shocked at all she is being awarded for it. But Wolfpack, I appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Follow the boy your Twitter, Patreon, TikTok, all the links in the description below. If you're new here, subscribe, turn on the notifications, check out the channel. If you're looking for like the live show stuff, like the Eras tours or the documentary about the Eras tours or Lovers concerts or what else? All of it. Long Pond sessions, Miss Americana, all of that stuff is on Patreon. You gotta go check that out. But yeah, I'm here to just see what she has to say or see if she can explain how she's able to write the way she writes, because it's very important to who she is as an artist. It's incredible. But yeah, Wolfpack. Let's go.
It's still such a mystery to me, even though I've been writing songs for so long, and I've started songs and finished songs so many different ways. They've gone through so many journeys. They've happened quickly. They've happened over time. They've been inspired by my life, by mythology, by fables, by books, by movies, by characters, by warnings, lessons, and they never quite happen exactly the same way, and I still don't quite understand how it works. I have this very strong opinion that when you're young, you feel things on such a intense and detailed level. There's an attention to detail when you are like 17 to 22 years old and you're longing, or you're reaching and grasping but never holding someone's attention or someone's love or someone's dedication, and you can't understand why. You spend all day thinking about it. You notice everything. You notice candle ash on the cuff of the shirt and the button, and it's everything that makes the mythology of those intense feelings that you have. And I've always tried to, like, without being a completely unhinged adult, keep that level of detail and intensity when it comes to trying to describe a feeling.
And she does it amazingly.
I started writing songs when I was 12. As soon as my love for singing and picking up an instrument happened, songwriting just spontaneously started becoming the entire cornerstone of my life.
Destiny.
I think the first songs that I like fell in love with was the type of songwriting that I think folk and country is really kind of known for. It's like that story time structure. Songs like Harper Valley PTA or Goodbye Earl by the Dixie Chicks, or like, you know, any amazing Kenny Chesney song.
That's why her
like,
sound was like that at first.
You know, a hypothetical structure would be, you know, first verse, little girl, you know, learns a lesson that in the chorus her mom teaches her about. Then the little girl grows up and now she's a teenager and she realizes, oh my God, my mom was right about this. Now the second time you hear the hook, that same hook means something a little bit different because she's like grown up in her life. Then the bridge, maybe she goes on in her life. She has a little girl, she imparts that wisdom onto her. And then if you really want to get me to cry, like bring back that same first line of the song and end the song with it. So that was the first thing that made me think it's gotta be country music. Take a deep breath. That was the first type that I really fell in love with. But then lyricism, I was the most intensely impacted by emo music, right? Dashboard Confessional, Chris Carrabba, Fall Out Boy, Pete Wentz's lyrics, how they take a common phrase and then they just twist the knife of it, right? Like, I'm just a notch in your bedpost, but you're just a line in a song. Drop a heart, break a name, right? Like, it's drop a name, break a heart. But they switched it. And those are the kind of lyrics where I would read the lyrics to those songs, or the specificity of Hands Down by Dashboard Confessional, where I'd be reading those lyrics and I'd just finish reading a line and just go, oh my God. I got a publishing deal when I was 14. I was signed by a guy named Arthur Buenahora at Sony, and he just believed that I had a perspective that mattered. And I actually asked him if he could please hold my songs from being pitched to other artists. I was like, just give me some time to try to get a record deal. I'm gonna try so hard. I could almost compare it to the Brill Building. They have these offices on Music Row, or at least they had a lot of them then, that were like these small houses, these like cottages and bungalows. Now we have really tall buildings. Basically, you'd go there and there'd be 3 songwriters writing in this room, 3 songwriters in this room, 4 in this room, 2 in this room. And I would just go to school. Then my mom would drive me downtown 30 minutes, and I would go and I'd have a songwriting session with someone that I'd never met before, but I really didn't want to come in unprepared, so I'd walk in with 4 to 5 nearly finished things, 2 half-finished things, 10 hooks, because I just never wanted people to be like, yeah, there's this like little kid that thinks she can swan her way into Music Row and just like write songs with these hit songwriters. But I think one of my favorite things about the Nashville music scene, country music and the storytelling where it was when I arrived there was almost this tradition of sort of breaking the fourth wall, making the song then a part of the song, or the writing of the song becomes a part of the song. And I did that in a song called Tim McGraw, where, I'm singing about this kind of love lost and hoping that person thinks of me. And then in the bridge, it's revealed that I wrote this song and I hope he hears it. The song, Our Song, which I still love so much. It's all about this romance and this relationship. And then in the end, it says, I grabbed a pen and an old napkin and I wrote down our song. So I loved doing that. I still kind of love doing that. The kind of just like, and it was me. Like,
Still does it.
My favorite end plot twist, I think, that I've done in songwriting is the ending of The Last Great American Dynasty. That's my favorite one. It is just so much fun to tell this story about this real woman who lived in history and she defied the social norms and she drove people crazy and she had a marvelous time ruining everything. And you talk about the house she lived in on the coast. And basically then in the end, you're like, she moved away from Holiday House. It sat quietly on that beach, free of women with madness, their men and bad habits, and then it was bought by me. And you're like, every time I get to that part when I would sing it on tour, I just have to kind of like I wanted my grin to go from here to here, but that looks crazy. So it's like I had to taper down my own excitement that hook happened. I learned you can't ever really tell if other people are gonna like it, but oftentimes when I love it to a certain degree, that kind of tends to match up with people. And it could be that it doesn't match up with the way people feel till six years later. I loved the Reputation album. I was like, you guys say what you want. I know what I did. I love it.
You was damn right.
Go with God, sorry. You can come around if you want. It's okay if you don't. And then, 6 or 7 years later, people are like, oh my God, ready for it. People slept on that song. Are you ready for it? When we were making that song, I just remember I wanted to head bang myself through a wall. I felt that when we wrote Ready for It. I felt that way during writing Getaway Car. I felt that way. I think the first way...
we in the getaway car. We met at the hotel bar. The money in the bag, and I stole the keys. That was the last time you ever saw me. We were driving. The bridge game alone is enough for her to get into this top 30 songwriters of all time. Like the bridges, like need to have their own warning every song. Every song. Every song.
I think the first time I felt like I don't care if people hate this because I love it so much was when I wrote the song Love Story. When I was
That's a good
17. Sitting in my bedroom.
That
Mad
was
at
one
my
of
parents.
the best songs he's ever had.
Because they wouldn't let me go on a date with a guy who was too old, so I shouldn't have been on a date with him anyway. And this is why you need to discipline your kids, because they might write songs that go number one. When I wrote Speak Now, I was 18 and 19, and I was coming from this big, massive moment that I had with an album called Fearless, and it had won Album of the Year at the Grammys, and it was this big, it was the first time there was like this big debate over whether I deserved to be there. There are always gonna be like little debates, do you know what I mean? But this was like headline news. I was like, these discussions can lead to a really bad place if I don't do something to counteract them and to prove that, no, it wasn't my co-writers that did all this work. And yes, I am the author of this entire body of work that I was very proud of. I'd written so many songs alone, and I love collaboration.
Myself.
I love co-writers, but it's not something that I needed. It's when I started to trust myself as an editor, because a lot of what I'll do in a session, even now, and one of the reasons why Liz Rose and Jack Antonoff became like people that I loved to write with for albums and albums, is because I'll have this stream of consciousness pouring out, and Liz would sit there with a notepad. But when you take that away, I just started, recording everything, right? Recording everything on a voice memo, because there will be times when I'm like kind of in a zone and I'm writing so fast that there's no chance I'm gonna remember what that melody was that I did, 2 minutes ago that I thought was cool for the verse. That was a really important album for me in terms of in terms of becoming a writer that knew I could trust my own intuition.
And you was right.
I have little phonetic things. I love alliterations.
She does.
I love, two words that start with the same letter. Love that. I don't like to have a word end with the same letter that the next word starts with. For example, in the song, Our Song, it was supposed to be when you're on the phone and you talk real low. But I was like, I don't like the real low. So it's turned into when you talk real slow. Certain words just like fly for me. I think one of the reasons I like to take either age-old cautionary sort of phrases or things that you've heard in books, films, kind of these classic lines, and then repurposing them, inverting them, or like redefining them in some way, is because I sort of love the combination of modern vernacular and sort of old world or classic timeless speak. So in the song The Fate of Ophelia, there's a lot of sort of modern terminology and speak and kind of common phrases from the way that we talk now.
Right.
But there's also, like in the bridge, there's a line from Hamlet that I repurposed.
Locked inside my memory, and only you possess the key. No longer.
I really gravitate towards juxtaposition and polarity in a line, right?
She does.
Hey, what could you possibly get for the girl who has everything and nothing all at once? Our coming of age has come and gone. You take one word that's at the beginning of the phrase and then you take its opposite, because ultimately, like, we are all filled with polarity, hypocrisy, these kind of battling features and factors that make up our jagged personalities. I have my phone and I have this file where I'll just be like, I know I like that, or I know I like that word, or I know I like that question. And then when I'll go into a session, I don't have social media on my phone. Like, it looks like I'm just endlessly scrolling, but I'm scrolling through the words in my file. If we're in the middle of writing a song, I'm searching for a perfect line that I thought of 4 years ago at 3 a.m. I think the importance for me of a bridge,
why it's great.
it just feels
The
like
bridge.
we're painting a picture, we're setting a scene. We
Feel
have
like
this
what?
we're painting a picture, we're setting a scene.
One more time.
We have this
Taylor
opportunity as
Swift, what does it feel like when you're writing a bridge? You may have heard it from Tony on Tony Reactions channel on YouTube. What does it feel like?
We're painting a picture, we're setting a scene. We have this opportunity as a songwriter to
Told y'all.
tell an entire story, an entire movie, or
Taylor Swift. She's seen one. She's seen one.
or a very detailed description of one scene in a movie, or a very nuanced dynamic between people, or a complicated emotion. And we have only so long to do this, you know? I've written some really long songs in my life, but for the most part, they're between 3.5 and 4 minutes. You can start
We know when to sing
like
it.
painting the picture in the verse. You can get to the heart of start like painting the picture in the verse.
Swear,
You can
I heard
get to the
that
heart of
before.
it at the chorus, but then the bridge can be where you zoom back, you walk 20 feet back, and you see what this entire painting was supposed to be. Like, you've seen brushstrokes, you've seen the color tones, but the bridge can be when you step back and you feel everything that that piece of art was supposed to make you feel. That's just how I feel about bridges. I came up as a song
I don't mean to toot my own horn. Beep, beep. Beep, beep.
songwriter in Nashville where structure is a huge part of how you effectively tell a story, right? You go verse, chorus, second verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, maybe you repeat that first verse if you want to pull at some heartstrings, if it makes sense. Now, that's something that I absolutely subscribe to, that idea that it's, you know, structure is important, but I think that when you write enough songs, and at least in my case, the intuitive part of your songwriting brain can kind of create a new structure that's not as classically what you've been taught. Like, Jack Antonoff is a collaborator of mine and one of my best friends. We established this thing that we love to do, and we call it the rant bridge. I could point to examples like Out of the Woods, Is It Over Now, Cruel Summer, and oftentimes we love these rant bridges where it's basically like stream of consciousness, endless pouring out of emotion, intrusive thoughts, like blended with metaphor, with discussion, with shouting. Like, you want this rant bridge to feel the most intense of what that feeling is that you're trying to establish over the course of the song. And you want it to kind of be a crescendo. We usually love those so much that we then bring them back.
Yeah.
So we'll go, you know, verse, chorus, rant bridge, sometimes like a little post coda to that rant bridge, last chorus, bring the rant bridge back, maybe with the chorus chords underneath it.
Absolutely.
The Mirror Ball bridge. This was Jack sending me a track during COVID, and me immediately knowing that it needed to be about how I felt as a performer and an entertainer within this moment when entertainment and art has effectively shut down. I'm still gonna stand on this tightrope. I'm still up on the trapeze. I'm still gonna try to do tricks for you. But at the same time, you know, being a person in the public eye, I've really begun to realize that you are a mirror. Like, you are a mirror for your fans, for the media, for people on the internet, for just people who don't even really care about your music, but they know who you are. However they feel about themselves and their life will be projected onto how they perceive you.
Spinning in my highest heels, love, shining just for you.
A public person who makes art
Awesome.
is a mirror ball. And that's part of why I've been able to keep my wits about me through all this, because I know that. And I'm really kind of aware of that dynamic, but I'm still endlessly fascinated by people, by the human experience, by why people are the way they are, by the ways that they feel emotion. I think that's what keeps us connected, even though, you know, you can make these kind of like shockingly vulnerable confessions within a song by being like, I've never been a natural, all I do is try. And you say that at first, and I remember writing that and being like, oh my God, this feels like, do you want to say this? And I'm like, actually, I feel like a lot of people feel that way. That
You're
always
absolutely right.
overrides my discomfort with if a line feels too true, because I don't really think that there's anything that's too true. The whole thing with All Too Well was that this was a very emotional rant that I did in like a sound check. We were rehearsing for the Speak Now tour. I was very sad in a way that, you know, you're like 21 years old. And
we know you can do it with a broken heart.
Just like you are, sadness is you, you are sadness. In a break, I just started playing the same 4 chords over and over again. It's basically the same 4 chords over and over again for the whole song. And it just became this thing where I just started rambling, and this thing went on for a really, really long time. It was like more than 10 minutes that this rambling rant went on, and it wasn't cohesive and it wasn't really that structured, but it felt afterward like, I think my mom or somebody went up to the sound guy and was like, did you by any chance record any of that? And he was like, yeah, I did. And I would have walked away from it if he didn't have a recording of it. So I went back and listened to it, and I was like, oh, here's this 10-minute, like, basically catharsis of intense emotion. Like, there are some really angry, scathing parts that I was like, kind of gonna have to make this into a song that's a little bit more palatable, because I already felt so, like, raw putting that song out as detailed as it was.
So he know what it was.
It goes out into the world.
Get a scarf back, man. We want the scarf back. You can't do it though, can you? You still got it wearing around your neck.
It didn't make a lot of noise, that song, for the first 6 months to a year, but then the fans just did a thing that they've done a few times where this song just keeps bubbling up. They did this with Cruel Summer too, where they're just like, no, we like it. We don't care if a label wants to put it out. We love this one. So I ended up playing it on the Grammys. I made the mistake of kind of explaining how the song came to be in an interview. It ended up being a really fortuitous mistake that turned into being like, oh, I'm so glad that happened. But for years, the fans were like, give us the 10-minute version, give us the 10-minute version. And I was like going back through diaries and finding like little fragments of it. And I didn't have the like old thing anymore. So I was looking through safes, trying to find the CD, but I had to go back and piece together lyrics and stuff. But that was the most extensive restoration process I've ever done on a song. I don't think I'll ever experience anything like that again.
Well worth it.
There are so many different ways that a song begins in my world. I'll take an example like the song Elizabeth Taylor. I'm riding in the car with Travis. I go on and explaining to Travis like why I love Elizabeth Taylor so much. She fought for artists' rights. She was exploited in so many ways, and yet she kept her humanity, she kept her humor, she kept her passion for life. And I'm just going on and on. I'm like, her eyes were violet. Some people said they were blue. Some people said they were violet. I think they were violet. And we arrive, we get home. He gets out of the car, and I'm just in my head, I'm like, this intrusive melody of like, I'd cry my eyes violet, Elizabeth Taylor. And I'm just like scrambling to open my record like app on my phone. But that's like one of those spontaneous places where it floats down like a cloud in front of you, and all you have to do is grab it. And the song transpires from there. It comes as if from nowhere. That's a really fun way that songs come about. That's the way it happens most of the time. Another way that a song could happen is that a producer that I love to work with, like Aaron Dessner or Jack Antonoff, could make an instrumental, send it to me, and immediately I'll write what's called a top line on top of it. That's the vocal melody and the lyrics. Another way of writing songs is that you're in the room with your collaborator, and one of you starts playing something, like, for example, like Jack starts playing this piano part, and it turns into this song called New Year's Day. That piano part was just like enough to springboard the entire song.
There's glitter on the floor after the party.
Writing sessions is a way that I love to write because you're all in the room, everyone's bringing ideas, everyone's chiming in. I always apply the rule, may the best idea win. I don't care if it came from you, or me. If it's better, that's what goes in the song. And I do kind of like it when people challenge me on something, because I never want to be in the room with creators who are afraid that if if they have a better idea, like they can't argue with me because it must be my idea that makes it through. I'm never gonna grow that way.
Damn sure won't.
Well, I think that, the 2010s was a time for women in the entertainment industry that like, we need, like, we'll talk about it later. Like, we're all still limping away from that. And I think that conversations are much more healthy now around, there's a difference between art and like going and ranting on an Instagram live. Like there's a difference. This is a song, this takes craft, this takes skill, this takes expertise. But I also am really excited that, like, I'm a massive Somber fan of his songwriting, and his lyrics are so intensely confessional. I don't like want another man's child to have the eyes of the girl I can't forget. Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me, Taylor? Because when I broke down Somber's song, I went back to that line like 2 or 3 times, and I said, that's painting a picture right there. That, like, to even think of it, he could have easily said, I don't want somebody else to have like a baby with the woman I love. I don't want her to have a family with somebody else, like easily. But for him to say, I don't want like the child to have the eyes of somebody, of another girl that like had that I won't forget, that's another level. I said that. Taylor, come on, bro. Just holla at us. Come on the channel. We'll just chop it up. I said that. Go to my reaction of it.
Want another man's child to have the eyes of the girl I can't forget? Are you kidding me?
That's
like,
amazing.
Having a male artist say stuff like that is really good for the cause of women to be able to say stuff. If there's any way we can make confessional songwriting a little bit more of something that isn't like, people take that as sort of like you were being messy or whatever, you have to be fair to everyone then. Are rap beefs messy or are they confessional? Like, we've got to just like, let's make it a music conversation rather than just like ganging up on the female artists. And I think the more male artists that are messy or emotionally complex or confessional or upset, the happier I am.
Right, because otherwise you'd be a mad woman.
But as I've grown up, the intensity of the sort of, no pun intended, message in a bottle nature of my songwriting has shifted and changed into something else. It used to be like, I can't tell a person how I feel, so I'll write it in this song. And that was really important for me at the time that it was important for me. It's also, important when you're in your early 20s and there's someone you shouldn't talk to and you don't want to call them because they're bad for you and it's toxic, so you write it in the song and that's where it lives, like almost as a method of like self-control or self-preservation or something. But for the Folklore album and everything like that, it wasn't as a response to having a public life and the intrusions that come with that. It was really more of just wanting to challenge myself as a writer. I really have always just thought it would be so amazing to write books. And it's so exciting to have the challenge of, could I get enough plot points in a 3.5-minute song to where people felt like they read something after they heard it, or just take you back to that bedtime story, kind of tell me a story. I want to be able to put my own image on these characters. And
Betty?
It was really amazing when it opened up my world. I don't think my songwriting has ever been the same after Folklore. I have always had a little bit of that sort of character play in my songwriting since. And I hope it never goes anywhere because it's really fun.
You heard the rumors from
I know what I'm talking about.
She says most times, this time it was true.
I kind of like being a narrator that's not the person I relate to. So the narrator in Clara Bow is either a studio, like a Hollywood studio person or a label executive who's sitting in my mind behind a desk and meeting with a brand new starlet who's just come to town. The exec says, you look like Clara Bow in this light. It's remarkable. You're so special, you're amazing, we're gonna make you just like her. In my mind, that girl was Stevie Nicks, right? So Stevie Nicks sits down, they tell her she looks like Clara Bow, she's got those big moon eyes, and we're gonna make you just like her. Don't worry, we're gonna put you through this machine and you'll be a god. The second verse says, you look like Stevie Nicks in this light, the hair and lips. So in my mind, that was me that sat down opposite that desk, right? I sit down at a record label and they're like, you look like Stevie Nicks, we'll make you the next Stevie Nicks. And basically, you learn that like you're in this machine and they're trying to make you into a woman that they just idealized and then discarded. Like the entertainment industry love bombs women, right? We love you. We don't know who you are. Why are you even here? And so in the last verse, in my mind, it's a new artist that sits down across from a record label desk and they say, you look like Taylor Swift.
Like Taylor Swift.
In this light, we're loving it. You've got edge she never did. The future's bright,
Sabrina
dazzling.
Carpenter.
Because that's also another thing that you get when you're a female in the music or the entertainment industry, movies, whatever. It's like, oh, you're like this person that we like. They name a big name and they're like, oh, but you're gonna be so much better. It's gonna be no, it's gonna be cooler. You're so much better. Like to offset the comparison. On Red, there was a song that I wrote alone in a hotel room when I was 22 years old called Nothing New, where it sounds ridiculous, but at 22 years old, I had my first 22. Because when I was 18, I had the Fearless album come out and I had my first international #1s and everybody was like, oh, this writing, it's so true, it's so honest. She feels like she deserves to be here. And then there was this big upheaval of, no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. She sucks, actually. And it was like, it really turned the tables on my perception of like love can be so quickly handed to you and then taken away. And it's this kind of strange thing with fame. And that was the first time I ever grappled with that. Somebody was like, oh, you're 22 years old and you're saying like, are you tired of me? If you're not yet, are you going to get tired of me? Because it's usually something that you would sing about later in life, but the entertainment industry, I'll tell you, there's 10 years for every year you're in it. But it's fun. Songwriting is something that it's a very intimate, tiny little thing for me. I have a lot of things I like to do. I like to bake, I like to make art, I like to paint, I like to sew, I like to write songs. And I try to keep it as like dear to me as those other things I just named. I have to know that like there's certain things that we have as a tradition between me and my fans. They love for an emotional song to be track 5. There's like special things like that, but at the same time, there's sort of so many of them now, which is great, but there's corners of my fan base who are gonna take things to a really extreme place. There's nothing I can do about that. There's people who are gonna try to like do detective work, figure out the details. Who is that about? What is this? When it gets a little bit weird for me is when people act like it's sort of like a paternity test. Like, this song's about that person, because I'm like, that dude didn't write the song I did. But that's part of it. You have to hold tight to your perception of your art and your relationship with it, and then you just kind of have to like, there it goes. Hope you like it. If you don't now, hope you do in 5 years. And if you never do, then I was doing it for me anyway. Yeah, criticism has been a huge fuel for me. It's been a huge jumping off point, like a creative writing prompt or something. There are so many songs in my career that would not exist, like Blank Space would not exist if I hadn't had people being like, here's a slideshow of all her boyfriends. Like, and then Antihero is a song that I'm so proud of still. Like, that song doesn't exist if I don't get criticized for every aspect of my personality that people, you know, have a problem with or whatever.
Take issue with for no reason.
My covert narcissism, like disguises altruism.
My favorite thing when I sit down with new artists or songwriters, I'm like, why are you reading your comments? Like, that's too much of it. Like, you're inundating yourself with too much criticism that doesn't really have a focus. But I think a little bit of it, you gotta just be like, this is part of it. Like, don't make this make you stop writing or make you edit yourself or whatever. If it's an interesting point to you to kind of respond to, then that's a gift for you to be able to write something. Maybe you wouldn't have written something that day. But don't don't go to the like notes app and post it. Like, write about it. Make art about this. Don't respond to like trolls in your comments. That's not what we want from you. We want your art.
Get away, car. I know I just did that chorus as well. Taylor Swift. I'm now convinced 110% she has watched one of my videos. There's no way around it. So tell me y'all favorite bridge from Taylor or chorus, um, or favorite era or something like that. Put that in the comments below. But yeah, Taylor Swift, Wolfpac, we'll be back. Let's go.